finding your true calling and having a positive attitude for your passion and your purpose in life, having a positive mind and really knowing what your purpose in life is. I'm going to share a wonderful principle today from A Course in Miracles that, when fully understood, will help us open doors for opportunities and to live our true calling, our true free will. Hey everyone, James Nussbaumer, and thanks for joining me in another session of For a Better Life podcast. It's also a webinar. We went through some changes recently. If you haven't seen me in about over a month, that's because we were undergoing some technical difficulties on a little bit of a new format here. So we're back on weekly. Every week this will be posted at YouTube. So I hope that you'll follow us and join us here. But let's get into a question that had come in through my mastermind group from Sally and Ben. Sally and Ben of Mount Dora, Florida, wanted to know more about, finding your purpose in life, or your true calling, what it is that you really want to do, and having the confidence to just go after it regardless of what gets in your way. That was Sally's question. And her and Ben, she said, are up against kind of a confidence thing with their trying to achieve some certain objectives in their area down in Florida. And they just seem to have one obstacle after another, and they seem to lose confidence. So I thought this would be a great time to introduce Sally and Ben, who have been a part of my Mastermind Challenge group. I'll talk a little bit about that later as we go on for those of you that would like to possibly be a member. But let's go on. And Sally and Ben, I hope I answer your question today, but let's go on by saying, if you're not living or finding your true calling, your passion, your purpose in life, and not having a positive attitude towards the process of doing so, then certainly it will, with some time, begin to eat away at your self-confidence and your self-esteem levels. And I'm sure that you understand what I'm saying there. But this is when many feel that there is nothing to live for any longer, or they just give up on their dreams and live a life being more so most of the time in the dumps, so to speak. There are certain opposites that simply do not attract. Let's begin. And that is light and darkness. Now I'm going to speak with a little bit of a spiritual metaphysical slant today. And for those of you that really want to understand more about what metaphysical means, is just understanding your own being behind your body, beyond your body, we could say. So keep it simple, but let's talk about the opposites that do not attract, like light and darkness. Well, everything and nothing, these cannot join together and coexist. What I mean is light is everything, darkness is nothing. Together they cannot coexist. They can't be there all the time. Together as one. Each one is either true or false. You either see light or you do not. For example, light does have the capability to, we want to say, put out darkness, but really what's happening is the dark is attracted to the light, and as it comes nearer the light, it fades away and fades away until there's no more darkness, and it's back to the nothingness that it was from the beginning. So your thinking will become kind of that way too. Let me explain. Your thinking might become erratic until you make a firm commitment to one or the other. By the way, I need to sip on periodically a cup of my morning Maxwell House coffee. But yes, you have to make a commitment to one or another. And what I mean is, which is it that you want? Do you want to live in the light, or do you want to live in darkness? Do you want to live with your true calling, or do you want to live in feeling in the dumps most of your life? Excuse me, and I got a little congestion. I just got over a bronchial thing, and I'm okay now, but a little bit of that stuff just building up. So, but you cannot be fully committed to darkness or nothing, because it really is impossible that way. And what I mean is, again, is no individual has ever lived who has not experienced a positive mind by some light and a certain something that they just cannot explain. What I mean is, let me throw at you what A Course in Miracles asks us. A Course in Miracles asks us, therefore, how could anyone deny truth totally? So in other words, if you want to live in the light and not darkness, how can you deny truth totally? Truth is the light. Now, bear with me as we move on here. If you live in darkness, there is a truth in that. There's a truth there that you are aware of light being available for your purpose in life. It's just that you made efforts to block the light, and finding your true calling will most likely not occur. Now, you may say, well, I'm not. Sally and Ben might be listening to this and say, well, we're not trying to put up the blocks that get in the way. They just appear. The roadblocks that are in the way of us living our dream. Well, let me continue, Sally and Ben, and for everyone else listening to you. First of all, it's why this kind of thing of examining yourself metaphysically, examining your being, is why I urge to learn mindfulness meditation techniques if you haven't already. And if you don't know how to do mindfulness meditation, would like to learn, just check out my blog. I've got it made available there. You'll find little ads there for learning mindfulness meditation. But the same with nothingness is the same with nothingness is what I'm trying to say. The truth is that the darkness you may live in is something in the fact that it is dark. Therefore, you might think, well, it's dark, so how can it be nothing? Okay. Thus, no one really, think about this, no one can deny truth totally, though they may think they can, which is the illusion. Okay? But have you ever thought of doing something, let me clear that up a little bit. Have you ever thought of doing something knowing it was wrong, but made the necessary excuses and provided yourself to go ahead and proceed to do it anyway? No one is ever partially innocent in this world. That's why we're in this world. And we dwell on that more in my books, but that's not the subject today. But let's move on with innocence is not partial because it is real. Behind the body, your being in a metaphysical sense is 100% real, which means you are 100% innocent, which means you are 100% of the light. Any guilt, which can be darkness, any fear or doubt, which is also darkness, is something that you throw up there to block out the light that you are that never goes out. The innocence that you are never goes out. In other words, Sally and Ben, your true calling of what you are here on earth to do never goes out. That light of that never goes out, but you somehow block it. Okay, having innocent and true perceptions. Okay, think of the perceptions we have and the projections. There is a difference between projection and perception, but that's also made more clearly in my books too. But we'll touch on that just a little bit today. But having innocent and true perception means that you never see what does not exist and will always see what does, leading to finding your true calling. So in other words, when you're always finding what really does exist, like when you're really tapping into that light of who you are rather than the darkness, when you know that the light is who you are, and every now and then some darkness is going to crop up, but the darkness can fade away as it attracts your light. If you can see life in this world that way, then you will be leading a life of always finding your true calling. Now, A Course in Miracles helps us to understand that here too. Now, keep in mind, for those of you that aren't too familiar with A Course in Miracles, another sip of coffee, please, is that A Course in Miracles is very metaphysical, psychological content about the spirit of who we are behind the body. So A Course in Miracles states that when you lack confidence in what someone will do, you are telling yourself that he is not of a positive mind. Therefore, you're saying that you are not of a positive mind. So the point of that principle is that too often when we're not finding our true calling or things are against us, we want to place blame somewhere. And that is not going to work either. So when you catch yourself in that mode of blaming an individual or blaming a situation, blaming the economy, blaming the stock market, blaming the president, blaming, who knows what, then all you're doing is you are putting up a blockade in front of your light. So this cannot be miracle-based or positive ways of thinking or attitude, because thereby you're denying the power of the miracle when you deny the light. The miracle is only of this world. In eternity, there is no miracles. The miracle is here for us on earth until we reach eternity. The miracle is for us to use. And what the miracle is in this world is allowing the darkness to fade away into the light. Not to go attack the darkness and throw it out by our light. That won't work. No, it's to let the darkness attract to our light, because the darkness cannot make light go out. But as the darkness approaches the light, the darkness will fade away. And therefore, what's left is the real you, the innocent you, the truthful you, the 100% real you that wants your true calling to be established in this world. I hope that makes sense. You know, the miracle must perceive everything as it is. If only truth exists, then the positive mind can only see perfection. Think about that. If only truth exists in your mind, then that positive mind about you can only see perfection. So while we're in this world, yes, truth only exists. But when we see untruths and falsities, it is that darkness again that we're that we're putting up in front of the light. So the more, and that's the illusion of the untruth. So while we're in this world as humans, and I speak more about this in my books, and I can't dwell on that today because of time restraints in this podcast. But while we're in this world, we are going to be up against some untruths, but they're not real. If we can learn to tell ourselves that they're not real, that all we are is truth, that all we are is the light, then as those untruths, those falsities, which we can call darkness, are attracted to the truth, they fade away. Does that make sense, Ben and Sally of Mount Dora, Florida? The innocent cannot see from a distorted perfection. Let me explain a story. The innocent cannot see from a distorted perception. This was portrayed in the life of Thomas Edison, the greatest inventor, we might want to say, in American history, maybe in the world, but when he first attended school in Port Huron, Michigan, his teacher complained that he was too slow and he was hard to handle in class. Well, as a result, Edison's mother decided to take her son out of school and teach him at home. His own mother, now teaching him, discovered that her son was fascinated in having a positive attitude with science. And he was only 10 years old. She set him up with a chemistry laboratory. Eventually, he proceeded in his lifetime with more than 1,300 inventions, 1,300 inventions. But when Thomas Edison invented the light bulb, it just didn't happen suddenly. No, he tried over 2,000 experiments that failed, people would say, before he got it to work. A young reporter asked Thomas Edison how it felt to fail so many times. And Thomas Edison said to him, "You don't understand. I never failed once. Not a single time did I fail." Inventing the light bulb happened to be a 2,000-step process. Wow, that story right there. Sally and Ben of Mount Dora can help you understand what it takes to achieve and find your true calling. So, you know, a mind can miscreate only when it believes it is not free to begin finding your true calling. And this is probably why Thomas Edison was uncomfortable in school, we might say. Of course, you know, school in those days was a lot different than it is today. Okay, so nevertheless, his mother sensed his imprisoned mind, which was holding her son back, and his mind was limited and not free to assert itself. So therefore, to be one is to be of God's will as well as one mind. When having a positive attitude and free will Thomas Edison and the thought that created him were at one. This perfect accord was the making of the miracle. Now, bear with me. Nothing could prevail Thomas Edison when he commanded his spirit into the hands of his project, his source of light, which he was creating light too with the light bulb, right? But his source of truth and light. All sense of separation disappeared, and he awakened to the call of his purpose in life. You know, when Edison's invention was of the light bulb, was Edison's invention, let me rephrase it, was Edison's invention of the light bulb his purpose? Additionally, was it a miracle? No. Let me explain, is the answer here to both of these, because it was how he lived his life that was his purpose. And having a positive attitude in the process itself was the miracle, which resulted in the world having literally turned on the light, we could say. So each of the 2,000 steps was the divine guidance he was receiving. But on the other hand, now bear with me, he was taught what did not work and to leave in what he did. But, you know, he was being shown how to shut the door on nothingness, how to open the door for everything, how to let the darkness come to the light each step of the way until he helped the light shine forth. So now think about this as I'm heading here and starting to close. This single purpose of the Holy Spirit, which is our link, our light, our oneness with God, is the Spirit. The Holy Spirit is the Spirit of God. We are the Spirit of God. But while in this world, we see ourselves as humans. So when we can look beyond that darkness of being human, we are the Holy Spirit, the light that is extending from God. But the single purpose of the Holy Spirit, the light of God, we can say, allowed the cause of perfect imagination, not only in Edison, but to countless individuals who were able to tap into it. Yes, it's finding your true calling. Also, too, bear with me. Please listen to this now. The imagination establishes the presence of God, yet the vision can be perceived only by the truly innocent. Now, this is my point here. Could we say the same for Thomas Edison's mother, who had the inspiration to take her son away from the schoolhouse so he could go on with his heroic mission and shock the world by turning the light on? I hope you enjoyed this today. I hope you're thinking a lot about your own life and all the natural beauty that sits inside of you, the natural glow, the light that is within you that's waiting to extend unto others and on to finding your true free will. Please support my work. I do tremendous amount of work every single day as an author. Please, if you don't have my books in your home or office or shop or wherever it is, please get them. My books are published by Ozark Mountain Publishing Company. 3 books are out now. The 4th one is now submitted. It's in the editing process. The first book, The Master of Everything, it's a story of mankind in the world of illusion we call life. And the second book, its sequel, is called Mastering Your Own Spiritual Freedom. Lessons from A Course in Miracles is the subtitle. And then my 3rd book that I'm so thrilled with is called And Then I Knew My Abundance. I hope that you'll have all 3 of them books so far in your home. And I believe once you read my books that you will see my point in everything. And you will see how to uncover the light by letting go of the darkness. Accept it as the nothingness it is and watch it fade away into the light. I've got to run. Until next time, everyone, God bless.